Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline, and my today's guest is Monique Schmitz. And I'm so happy that you said yes to be my interview guest. Hello.
Hello. Well, thank you so much for inviting me and having me. I'm actually really excited to be here.
Wow. Thank you so much. And I want to introduce you a little bit to the audience. You are a
Mhm.
mindset consultant and you empower people to break through mental barriers and achieve phenomenal success by realizing their full potential. And you assist others in stepping into their greatness and running straight into the success they deserve. And this is highly rewarding, of course. We know this. We
Yeah.
share both the experience with the Procter Gallagher Institute as consultants, and this is also how we met.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's so true. Sounds pretty badass when you put it like that, right? People for
yeah,
sure must be thinking, what does that mean? Yeah, but it kind of sums it up. It's true. Yeah. Thank you for a lovely introduction.
yeah. And of course, I would like to know a little bit more about you and what you did in the meanwhile. We were studying in the 6 a.m. club together in 2022. And yeah, the question, my first question, and it was over a year we had not contact to
Yeah.
each other. But yeah, and now I found you on LinkedIn
Yes.
and connected and asked you to be my beautiful interview partner. And I'm so happy you said yes. So
Yes.
tell me about what inspires you.
Oh, yeah. You just said, 2022. I can't believe where has time gone, Caroline? Honestly, where has it gone, right? Yeah, so many things happened. I think when we were in that club, I was still living in Switzerland. Um, yeah, I was in Switzerland for 2 years, and then after that, I left Switzerland again. But yeah, to answer that question, how do I get inspired? Um,
Yeah.
So I think how do I get inspired is like, man, I could talk hours for about that, but I'll just give you the shorter version of it. When I look at people, I have this tendency of instantly seeing what they're capable of, and I think the best way to get people going is to actually show them yourself that things can be done, and that's also why I bring up the Switzerland story. Um, People always have this thing in their head where they think I can do that, I can do that, I can do it, but to actually get going and to get moving from point A to point B, it takes a lot of fuel, and it takes a lot of passion and drive and courage, all of these things, right? Once you get clear on what it is that you want, and you really want to start moving in that direction, that is what you really need. And without sounding arrogant, I think I am the living example of it. I just go, I just came back from, well, I lived in Switzerland for 2 years. Then I went to Dubai. I lived there for a while. I just came back from almost a year of traveling in Australia. And in that time, I have broken through so many things that I basically never thought I could ever break through. So I take all of that, and then I use what I learned in working with Bob and his teachings. And it is, I think it's fair to say that I really became a product of that product, so to speak. um, and yeah, I always to maybe dive a little bit deeper into that. I really always ask myself what it is that I really want, and why do I want it. What's the purpose behind it? Why, what makes me aspire it so much? And then I just have several deep talks with myself, and I ask myself, hey, what's my belief system around this? Do I believe I can do it? Do I believe I can't do it? Is there something that scares me? What is it then? What evidence is there that I can actually do it easily? All these things, because I really believe everybody can escape their own situation. And, then I just push right through. And by sharing these stories with people, also, the clients I work with, uh, that is that ignites the fuel, that ignites the passion. And yeah, I get that a lot from people. They always say, give me your last story. That's one of the most heard things. Give me your last story.
Oh,
what's up? What's up? What's the next best thing? And I think the good thing is that when they encounter something in life and they are uninspired, there's always a good story to share from own experience and from the material that you and I studied so thoroughly that can help them to find back that passion and move forward. Yeah.
yeah. Absolutely. I can relate to this. You mentioned passion, and this is the most important thing to get things going, to start.
Yeah.
It's the start that stops most people. We know this, and I'm so happy you started. I remember this. You were telling me something. I'm in Australia right now. I cannot talk, speak, or communicate because of the time zones. I remember
Yes. Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that. It's in the middle of the night or so, but
Yeah,
we
that's so
always
true.
find a way to
Yeah.
inspire each other. So my
Yes.
next question is, who inspires you? And we have this common mentor, Bob Proctor.
Yes.
To
Yes.
mention. Mhm,
To be honest, I thought about that. And I
mhm.
think it's such a good question. So thank you for asking it. I think that is actually the question that most people should start with
Yes.
because when I look back at my life and my own journey, just as a child already, I was just always doing certain things. Yeah, I was actually, oh, this sounds awful, but I was always telling other kids what to do. My mom always brings up this story about me being in the playground telling everybody what to do. And I said, oh, Mom, that's not nice. And she said, no, you did it in such a lovely way. You did it because you looked at people and then you thought, oh, they're so good at it. We should motivate them. And then throughout my life, I was always this entrepreneurial type. I took my first trip without my mom and dad when I was 8. I took my first solo trip to Paris when I was 14. In high school, I just kept going. I was always so much interested in stuff like history and psychology. And then later in career, I became a job coach. I was in recruitment. And when I look back at that and think, why was I doing all of that? What got me going? Then I just realized that the common denominator of all of that is just people
Yeah.
in general. The people and their talent, people and their passion, people and their how do you say this, what drives them and the dreams they have, right? And if I see what people are really capable of once they set their mind to it and step fully into their power, man, Caroline, that gets me going. And yes, it's so true, right? It's so true. Of course, Bob, that would be the obvious answer, right? Who doesn't get inspired by Bob? But it's like so many people I've met throughout the years, so many people I've worked with. And, my grandmother, for example, and her background, she came from a very poor background and made something out of her life and always said stuff like, man, you can do and be anything you want to do and be, just like Bob says. And for example, in Australia, I met a 10-year-old who has the craziest background. If you would look at the facts, you would think that kid is going nowhere. But man, that kid is going places. He's just this very clear vision, and that just ignites the passion in me again. And then on top of that, for example, Caroline, I'm working with two girls now. They're in their 20s. They're called Katie and Kakao. And together, they inspired me to come up with a program, especially for people in their 20s. So I really think if you're authentically looking to connect with people, every single person has a story that can inspire you. And I really believe everybody should start there. Just have a look and realize how much inspiration is around us. It's
Yeah.
awesome. As you
It's
can tell, I get really passionate about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can feel it. And you
Yes.
inspire me, of course, by
Oh,
listening to you. I love it. I will re-listen to the recording already
yes.
because
Yes.
it was so inspiring what you
Oh,
said
thank you. Yeah.
about creating new programs. And I realized inspiration is everywhere. So my question, how do you inspire other people, is easy. We see it here. How would you say it? How would you describe it?
There are a few things. Um, I think, first of all, and I have to bring him up again, it's having this deep understanding of Bob's teachings. Because one thing, maybe the main thing I learned from it was that throughout my life, I had been doing all these things, right? About what is it you really want? You can do and be anything. Don't let fear get in your way. All these things. I already kind of knew it, but I was just never really capable of connecting it and realizing what it was that was stopping me. So that's the deeper understanding of what Bob teaches actually got me to a stage where now I have the right techniques and I have the right vocabulary to even explain it to people. And that just fits me like a glove. So that's the true authentic me. And I really believe authenticity is very important when it comes to this. Now, when I work with people, I very often I realize that, Caroline, honestly, people sometimes just need a mirror that they can look into and somebody that points out that these little hidden areas in their life where they are telling themselves one thing and then doing something else. And when you peel all of it off, right, when you take all the noise and all the shouting away, I think in basic, every single individual only wants to be heard and seen, loved and respected. And I've learned that once people understand that that is where you're coming in, that is where it all starts, right? Listen, I see you, I hear you, and I feel you. And I relate to it because I have many good stories. I've been there. Trust me, I've been there. Um, it's it's connecting with people on that vibrational level that helps them actually start to believe in themselves more, that helps them start to love themselves more, that helps them listen to themselves more, but also to motivate themselves more. And that is something that comes naturally to me. And I had that's actually one of my challenges that I had to overcome. I had to understand that that's okay and that's a natural thing that comes to me. And that is what I bring into this crazy society we live in nowadays. It is such a beautiful gift. Yeah, and to see people connect to that and then see how they get going, that's just the most beautiful thing out there. It really is. It
Oh,
humbles
yes.
me. Yeah.
I totally understand. And I was paying attention when you said people are saying one thing and acting as complete opposites sometimes.
Yes.
And I thought about what it is our choice, what we see then. Do we react to what they say, or do we pay attention to how they act, and how do we respond to that? It is
Yes.
complex what you just said, and I
Yeah.
have to process it now. And it comes down to the two things. What is the truth? And are you telling me something, a lie, or are you faking your life, or are you pretending to be someone who are not? No.
Yes. And Caroline, let's be honest. I think a lot of people struggle with that image of themselves. I think we all have, everybody has big dreams. Everybody knows they have talents, but it's also the programming that we come from and the habits that we live, right? So if when as children, we have been told over and over again, this is not what we do in our family. Now, what if this thing is the exact thing that you actually deep inside aspire? That puts you in a really awkward position. And then what do? Do you find the strength and the tools that you need to actually go after it? And do you have the awareness of that? Or do you kind of stay in the habitual type of behavior, which would make total sense, because most people do, and just do that thing you do in your family? That's a weird sentence, but you get where I'm coming from, right? So yeah, it's I just really wish, and this is actually my mission, to be honest. I want more people to see that they can be whatever it is they want to be, and they can do whatever it is they want to do, despite the story they tell themselves. Yeah.
I totally understand. And I had the conversation yesterday about the conflict between going after what you want and the, let's say, conformity in your family, and to behave as if nothing happened. You didn't change inside, but it's something you want. And then you have to make a decision. And what you said is, I think the contrast is there to show us, to make us aware of the things that we want, because otherwise
Mm,
we wouldn't know, right?
yeah.
If there's always this good feeling, then we don't have to change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so true. That's so true. And on top of that, I also really believe that nothing just happens. There's no such thing as coincidence. You know, if you're living your life and you're always in your comfort zone, but every single time something pops back on your path, showing up right in your face, maybe it's time to have a look at it, right? And
Oh,
a lot of people are scared to do exactly that, and they choose to step away from it, which is fine. I mean, in the end, every decision is a decision. But I really believe it's there to help you grow and to break out of that. And yeah, growth is uncomfortable. There's a saying in Dutch that says something, without the diamond doesn't shine without rubbing.
yeah.
Something like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a weird
Without
translation.
pressing, or they are also, it is like dust being pressed, and then it's a diamond.
Yes, yes,
German.
yes, yes, same thing. So yeah, that's really awesome, and I think people show resilience, right? If you sometimes see what people recover from, you know, for example, when they've been in a car accident, and then you look at that car and the people, and you think, how are you ever going to survive? People
Mhm.
are so resilient. Yeah, and I just really want for people to use more of that resilience to get to where they want to go, because the world really needs it right now. Let's not ignore that, right? The world really needs us to step up and be a better version of who we are today.
Yes, exactly. And you are a great example of that, and also a
Oh,
leader of
thank you.
thought and freedom. And I would like to know, when people reach out to you after listening to this episode, if you have a special offer for the Inspired Podcast community.
Yes, of course.
Oh,
Of course I do. Of course I do. So I do many things, but I think the main two I do is one-on-one coaching. So I do 13 and 26-week programs, very intense, very one-on-one, very in your face, but very, very successful. People that go through it, man, they don't recognize themselves anymore after it. And I am going to start a group version of that as well shortly. And I will offer your community a 30% discount on all original prices.
yeah.
So they can use the code INSPIRE, exactly like it is spelled in your description. So they just can use that when they reach out to me and give me the Inspire name. I will make sure that they get the discount on top of a phenomenal new life. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. This is so generous and most welcome. And I'm happy that we had this interview. And
Well,
thank
thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much for listening.
This was very inspiring.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I really want to thank you. I'm very grateful that I get a chance to share my vision and reach as many people as we possibly can. And thank you for all the good work you do, Caroline. I
Oh,
really
thank you
appreciate it.
so much. And I'm so happy that I found you again on social
Yes,
media,
likewise,
that
likewise.
we reconnected. Thank
Yes.
you, and see you in the next episode.